Hello and welcome back. This is Dave Briner from Centers Technologies with an exciting update for Fusion 360. The Fusion team has come out with their mid-year update, and it was a big one. And the biggest addition to that, in my opinion, is the sheet metal addition of sheet metal. And I've had a little chance in the past day or two to play around with this, so I apologize in advance if I make a couple blunders on the way. I'm kind of just maybe the way you are is learning as I go along. But this is an exciting update. I really like it. I think there's as a first edition or first presentation, they've done a real nice job. So let's get on it. So on the screen, I just created a simple open profile, and with in order to enter the Fusion sheet metal, you just go to the model panel, and right here is the sheet metal selection. One little hint here, while I was playing around with this, one thing that I noticed was that when I had a multi-body part, and that's what I want to create here. I want to create a guard with a lid on it, and I want to be able to create a flat pattern for both of those. But when I did it in a single multi-body part, it will only create one flat pattern per part. So my workaround was to create a multi-component. All right, so basically an assembly. So what I did is I just created, you can do this in model space or here, is I just created a upper level and added a component, and that's what I have worked on right here. So we'll get to the flat pattern shortly and you'll see what I mean. So basically there's two kinds of parts right now, and it's sheet metal's, again, certainly not as robust as Inventor, but as a first edition here, I think this is a really nice sheet metal presentation. So with an open profile, you will get a contour flange. With a closed profile, you'll get a face or a flat plate. So I have my contour. I'm just going to come up here in my create panel and select flange. Flange is going to accomplish a lot so far right now in the way sheet metal is presented. So I'm just going to select my profile, and right away I can add a distance to that. So I'll just add 4 inches. Going down here is, if I look at the profile, I can select one side, the other side. You can see how it'll jump off the profile line, or I can be symmetrical about that line. Alright, for now I'll just stay to the one side as it was. Direction, nothing's changed here. One side, two sides symmetrical. New body, we're going to leave this as a new body within our new component. And if I wanted to go the opposite direction, certainly just like standard Fusion, I can just add a negative sign, but we'll just leave it at positive, right? And let's say OK. Now, one of the differences, you're going to see right away that it's added a sheet metal rule as soon as I created my flange. And you're going to see it's just steel millimeter. Well, that's certainly not what I want. So if I go into it, you're going to see it just has standard, some standard ones. That's steel, millimeter, stainless, aluminums, and same in inch. But I want a couple custom ones. So what I'm going to do is, if I go under modify, there's a new thing here, sheet metal rules. And in here I can select a couple things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the steel inch, and I'm just going to say new rule. And in this I'll put steel inch, and I'll just put I guess 12 gauge. How about we try that? Alright. And for this, on the thickness, so for steel 12, we'll put 0.105. And I'm not going to get into K-factors right now. K-factors can be a whole half day or maybe even a whole day, so we're just going to leave the K-factor as is. Alright, now we can get into bend conditions, so we can change a lot of things right here. Our radius, again, this is going to be on your bend practices. If you want the bend radius to equal thickness, the relief to equal thickness. I can just, if I want to cut down on this, I can always say divided by 2 or something. So I'll just put that the bend depth is thickness times 0.5, and the relief is 2. And the same thing with the type of corners. You can end up setting these the way you want. You can set these as defaults. Right now it's this one's a round and this one's a round with a radius. So for right now I'll just say save. I can go back and edit these at a later time. Alright, so now what I have is I've got my own steel 12 gauge, and what I'll do is I can, same thing, I can just say new rule and it'll make a rule right off of what I've just created, and I'll make this one, let's see, I guess we can go maybe, might as well continue, we'll say 14, and we'll make this 0.075, and we'll save. And I can do the same for my stainless steel. I can say new rule, and I'm going to put, and I'll put 12 gauge, and for my stainless I'll put 0.109. And again, you can go through and change all your bend conditions, K factor. But as you can see, then I can start building my own custom library along with this. I don't have to use what's presented in the package, right? So I'll say OK. When I go to edit my rule, let's go to the pull down. Let's get rid of some of this here. And there they are. So I can just click on it and say OK. And that should be my 12 gauge. All right. And just to get a quick, let's just see what that, and we got 105, just what we ordered. So let's work with that. All right. Now I can continue to edit this, and let's. I'm going to put another. I want to put a tab, 2 tabs back here. Something bolting tabs, I suppose. And let's create a flange. So I'm going to select. If I select the inner, it's going to pull in. You can see it can't go out the other way. If I select the outer line, again, the flange will go that way, and it won't let me go the opposite. So I'm going to put 2 inner flanges, and I'm going to make them, I don't know, I suppose 1 inch. Now with this, I'm going to change this a little bit, because if I turn my origin on, all right, you're going to see that, I'm up against this origin. I can change the degree of what I want that flange to be, and in my case, this is going to be flat up against my face. Is going to be 115 degrees, and I'll take that, and I can say OK. So it looks pretty nice. The only thing is I really don't want a full flange there, so let me go through and edit this. And you're going to see up here I have both flanges I just created. And if I go to this pull down, you're going to see I have a full edge, symmetric, 2 side, 2 offset. For this one, I'll just choose symmetric. Alright. Now it took me a while to try to figure this out, but one of the things that this is it's asking for a distance, and it's basically, since it's symmetric, it's half of this. So the symmetric is right there, it's only looking for half that distance. So if I put 0.175, that one actually can work pretty well. Maybe 0.3, 0.3 looks good. All right, and I'll do the same to the other side. And with this one, I'll come symmetrical. And I'll also make that about 0.3. Good. So there's the front side of my guard. Okay, quickly I can come in and if I go to modify, I can say create flat pattern. I'm going to select a face. This face, like any sheet metal, is kind of like what everything's going to unfold from. So I'll just choose this as my stationary face. And there you have it. And underneath, when you open the bodies, you can see there's bend lines. You can turn off the extent lines or the center lines or both, but I kind of like to leave just the center lines. And one of the things I can do now is I can go and I can create a drawing from this. I'll just say new drawing from design. And I'll make this at least a C. And I'll make this just maybe a little bit bigger so we can see it. We'll go 1.5. That looks good. And we'll say OK. So what I have is brought my flat pattern into my drawing. All right, what I like to do is bring a bend table in, and as soon as I bring it in, I'll place it. You're going to see the bend table comes up with my IDs, the bend direction up or down, the angle, and the radius. And you're going to see that my bends are numbered in progression. So that actually works pretty well. And I think they've done a pretty nice job with that, at least certainly automating that. But let's get back to our model a little bit. So what I wanted to talk to you about now here again, what I found out is, well, first of all, you want to get out of the exit. If you want to exit the flat plate, you can see if I right click, there's really nothing here. So they kind of hit it a little bit, but you have to go to the exit flat. And what I found out is the flat plate development is kind of like a mode, and you are allowed one flat plate development per part. So that's why we end up going multi-components. All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to create another component, and I'll just right click and say new component, and here I'll name this I guess top guard, or it's basically the top plate. So you can see that like anytime we work, it's kind of semi-transparent. And I am going to place a sketch, and yes, I'm going to place it, whether it's on, I can choose, you know, this surface or this plane. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start projecting some of these parts, some of these edges. And let's go here. I know I can project the entire model. I tried that in a couple, and I saw this shape kind of caused me a few headaches. So I'm just going to go through and take the time to project the edges that I want. So I'm going to select all of the inside edges. Good enough. And then I will create a line. And I'm going to create a line from here to the opposite side. And you can see right away that it indicates that it's a closed profile. And that's going to work great for me. So I'll stop the sketch. And again, go back to the flange command, whether you select it off of the panel or the pull down. And I'm going to select a profile, and right away let's take a look at what our result is. We can go one side or the other. I'm just going to stay with the first choice. It's going to be a new body in our new component. I'll say OK, and under that you're going to see now I've got to change this. Since this is new, I've not set this up in my preferences. I can do that, which one's going to be my standard. So I'm going to go down here and select the 12 gauge again, and I can select a different gauge with this, which is nice. So I can go down, I can choose a 16, 18, 20, whatever I may want for the top. So you're not confined to a single gauge for everything. And okay, so what I like to do now is I'm going to add a couple flanges, and I'm going to put one here and one over here. We're going to bring that down, and I'll just say we'll bring it down 0.625, I guess. Now I don't like the way it's into the corners. I don't like this end shape, so what I'm going to do, and I don't need anything quite that large, so I'm going to go through, and again I'm going to make this symmetrical, and I'm going to pull it in, and I'll make that 0.175, which will make this width 0.35. Don't ask. I'm not sure where we're getting at. It's 175 from each side, I suppose. I'm not sure how that. It's 175 from the center line of this. So you can, if you look in here, it's from here out. So you take the 0.175, multiply it by 2, and the total width is 0.35. All right. And I forgot to do the other side, so I'm just going to right click and edit feature, and I'll go back to the other one, and I'll make that one symmetric, and I'll also make that one 175. Good. And I'll do it one more up front. I want one here. Make this 0.625. And this one here is going to be symmetric. And I'll make this one, I don't know, I'll make this 0.2. Oops. There we go. 0.2 is fine with me. And that looks good. So you can see how some of these are done. One of the things I also don't like here is, let's go back and edit this one. I'm going to change, I'm going to override my rules, and you can see that I can override the bend radius. I can override, and this one I want to override the bend relief. I don't want to round. I'm going to see, let's try a tear. And you know what, I think that one looks okay. And for the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. That should be okay. All right. And we'll say okay. Better. So again, I can in progress I can change what type of bend reliefs. This one's a tear, this one's a round. One other thing I want to do is I'm going to place a hole here, and I'll add a sketch, and we'll put it on this face. I'll add a line, change that to a construction, place a point, midpoint, and the sketch, and we'll start the whole operation. I'll choose a 1/4 inch through all. That looks great. I'm going to say OK, and the nice thing is it places it through both parts. And again, I can do the same for the sides, but let's go back up to our top, and I want to do a little appearance change here, just to, so let's see what we got here. I'm going to go down. I'll put blue there, and I don't know what we got. And we'll put red on that one. Make it a little bit easier to see. So, as you can see, I got a flat pattern here. I'm going to create a flat pattern on my bottom one. I'm going to select that, go up to Modify, Create Flat Pattern. I'm going to select this as the face, and there you have it. So this is the way that I found to get around the situation of having multi-body parts within a single part. This way I can now create multiple flat patterns when I have multiple bodies, multiple parts. Let's see, is there anything? I mean, there's a lot to go over. This is only some of it. So this is already getting into a long demonstration. What else did I have? I think, like I said, I think they've done a real nice job with this. There's a lot that can be done. You can't do everything, but I think it was a pretty nice first effort from the Fusion team. And I expect there's going to be a lot more coming. So give it a try and see how things work out for you. I'll be trying to do a few more videos on this as we get a little more in depth with it. But again, I think this is a great first start, and I know this has been a well received, and I think it's been requested often. So take a look at it. Hope you enjoy it. All right, again, this is Dave Briner from Synergist Technologies. Have yourself a great day. Till later.